Right guys, this is Rowlands. I'm a nutritional balancing practitioner, and in this video I'm going to talk about intense copper elimination. So for a few people, when they're doing the nutritional balancing program, unfortunately at some point they will most likely remove a high amount of copper from the body. Now, first off, it's important to realise that this copper has been holding you back for years. This is one of the main things that's causing all of the symptoms. So it's really good that it's coming out of the system. Unfortunately, you don't really know when it's going to come out, is the first problem. The second problem is, and this is the main reason I'm doing this video, is people not prepared for it. They do not realise how intense this thing can be. And secondly, they don't understand how to deal with it, and unfortunately they do things that make the situation unnecessarily more intense, which is very, very unpleasant. So this video is going to try and address all of that and make you feel a little bit more at ease and give you the information that you need to get through it. So in general, this situation tends to happen in people that are pretty sick. So their body has been pretty sick for a long time. They're kind of usually on the sicker end of the spectrum. And basically what happens is these people also tend to be the people that do the program extremely well, which is a good thing because one, it actually removes the copper. I'll tell you now from my experience, not many people actually manage to remove a large amount of copper when they're really sick. They either sway off the program for whatever reason, or they don't do the program well enough for this process to happen. So it's really good that it's happening. But yeah, the issue is with these people is that the body's so sick that when this process begins to happen, it overwhelms a person a lot, to a point whereby people are borderline getting took into A&E, and they don't know what's going off. They feel like they're getting worse, and people start freaking out, when in reality what's happening is that this very important issue that needs to be addressed is being released from the body. Now, like I said, the people that have these reactions tend to be the people that do the program extremely well and who are very sick. The problem is when the reaction starts to come out, they don't really understand it and they're not prepared for it, and they just keep doing the program. And what happens is it just overwhelms them to a point where you start getting yourself into pretty sticky situations. This happened to me on a couple of occasions, so I totally can relate to what's going off. I think everyone should probably watch this video, just to be aware and be prepared. There's no point in beating around the bush really on this subject, because everyone needs to be aware of it. However, I will say that it doesn't happen to everyone, so don't worry yourself too much. It's kind of a small minority of people who are very sick and do the program extremely well. In general, copper is eliminated quite softly from people. So if you're watching this, don't freak out of it. Don't get too obsessed by it, because obviously this is just going out to a minority of people. So the first thing you need to realize is, or the first thing you need to understand is this a copper reaction? It's quite easy for me as a practitioner to figure out when this is happening, because them two things happen. They're very sick and do the program very well, and then these people start getting these intense reactions. The biggest thing people get is a racing mind. Their mind will just feel like it cannot shut off. It's like a beehive running at 100 miles an hour. The second thing is cannot sleep. This is probably the biggest issue that happens to most people, and this is this is what gets people into the most trouble, is because they'll keep doing the program 100% and they'll push out copper even more, which just causes more insomnia. And if you combine copper detox with a sick body with insomnia, you know, take my word for it, it is not an unpleasant situation. It's not a pleasant situation at all. Other things that you get is aches and pains. Sometimes you get like shooting pains going up your shoulders and your neck and your legs. Other things that happen is you get a bloated stomach and diarrhea and gas. One of the reasons for this is that copper is a very powerful antifungal element, and basically when it gets removed from cells, it finds its way into the stomach to be released, and it's a very potent candida killer. This is a secret actually to managing candida, is balancing out your copper levels, because it's needed to keep candida in balance. Another thing that can happen is constipation. That's a more of a rare thing. Generally it's the gas and the bloating, but constipation can happen as well. An anxious and wired feeling. Your nervous system's under a lot of stress and anxiety. You kind of feel like you want to jump out of your skin. You get super anxious. The reason for this is that copper works on the neurotransmitters in the brain, overstimulates the brain, makes you feel super anxious. At the same time, the adrenal glands are like pretty weak, the liver's congested, and copper toxicity is very much related to fear. When it's being released, a lot of fear is coming out. This is kind of a trauma release. So at the same time, you can feel intense fear, which doesn't help with the anxious feeling. Nausea, for obvious reasons, it's inside the blood. It gets itself into the ears, into the balancing system, makes you feel nauseous, especially if it's killing off a lot of candida. They're the kind of main, the powerful ones. The other things are like headaches, migraines, skin rashes, flare up of acne, fatigue, which can happen in the extreme, or you can go the opposite way sometimes, which is, you get more energy, but it's an anxious kind of fast oxidation energy, which doesn't help the situation, especially insomnia. You can get a flare up of flu type symptoms, cold, sinus, runny nose, or you can get a flare up of an infection as well. In terms of the mind, the brain, you're going to feel irritable, most likely, nervous, anxious, brain fog, spaciness, twitches, mood swings, depression, weepiness, and some very, very rarely you can get some symptoms of schizophrenia. Now, the biggest problem is people power through. They try to power through. They keep doing the program 100%. And when your body is being flooded by copper, you become overwhelmed. And if you're hitting the saunas hard, hitting the enemas hard, hitting the supplements hard, you can imagine what's going to happen. Your body just can't handle it, and you can get yourself into a sticky situation. So this is why it's super, super, super important to back off. I understand the people that generally go through these reactions tend to be the ones that are more driven. They're very willful individuals. They will do anything to get well, which is amazing because they're the people that will get this stuff out of the system that needs to come out. The bad thing is that they don't know how to put the brakes on sometimes until it gets too far. So this is what this video is all about. So yeah, when this happens and the people power through, they can't sleep, they get more and more scared. It becomes a little bit like a catch-22. They don't know what's going off. It feels like you're swimming through a swamp of emotions. 1 minute you're up, 1 minute you're down, and then this ripple affects, the people's family. Are wondering what on earth is going off. Clients are confused, families confused, and it's because they're not fully prepared. So what do you need to do? So the first thing is you need to rest more. If you are starting to get more energy, do not go out and use it. Don't do any exercise or anything like that. You need to rest. You need to rest to allow this through. You might feel jittery, you might feel like you want to move about. You know, the best thing to do is go for a long walk or have something like a lake swim. But don't wind yourself up anymore by doing exercise or going for a run or doing anything like that, because you'll probably make things more intense. The next thing is to reduce the program if it's too intense. Reduce the program, and especially your supplementation. I'm going to talk about some supplements that will help, but the supplements that you've been given, if I don't mention them in here, stop doing them. You don't want to be taking any adrenal glandulars. You don't want to be taking any B complex like Megapan. You don't want to be taking thyroid complex or anything like that, because that's going to stimulate the system even more and get you more into a wound up state. So that's the biggest issue that people don't do. They don't put the brakes on. The first thing you want to be thinking about is, okay, let's stop the supplements. Think about getting some of these supplements that I'm going to talk about and just concentrate on the diet. So in general, you want to be reducing sauna time if you're going through an extreme reaction. If you do want to use the sauna, which will pull out copper even more, two things are going to happen. One, it could get even more intense, which you kind of don't want to happen if you're going through an extreme detox, which is not nice. Or secondly, it can actually help remove it quicker from your system, which can kind of make you feel better. But it's one of them things that is kind of touch and go. You don't really know how it's going to affect you. So if you are going to use the sauna, do not use it for any more than 20 minutes. That is the absolute maximum for using the sauna. In general, when I've got myself into these situations, I tended to stop doing the sauna just because it wasn't worth me taking the risk of, is this going to get more intense or not? Similar to enemas, enemas can obviously make things more intense, but at the same time, enemas, in my opinion, tend to be a little bit, I tend to would sway more towards doing the enema than a sauna. The good thing about the enema is it really gets to the liver quite quickly and helps to draw out the toxins really well. But I've been in a situation before whereby the enema has made things more intense rather than improve things. So for me, generally, I prefer using the supplementation that I'm going to recommend, because that tends to put a lid on the situation much better. So you want to be trying to avoid constipation by make sure you're drinking enough water. You should be drinking enough water anyway, but it's super important to make sure you're drinking enough water when you're going through these reactions. The best is distilled water because it helps copper be removed from the liver more easier. If you can't get the distilled water, just use the spring water, but you want to be drinking as much as you can so everything's being flushed through your system. To put a lid on your nervous system, a good thing is to try and eat more sulfur-based foods. So things like meat and eggs, you want to be upping them. So for me, when I was going through these reactions, I would eat meat with every meal most of the time, eat more eggs. All these are going to be helping remove copper because it binds to copper, and also it's going to help this nervous system calm down. That's what we're trying to do on one level, is just calm everything down so you can just get some rest and allow the process to just move through at a more, balanced pace rather than 1,000 miles an hour. One good thing is plenty of Pyramin. Pyramin is a calcium and magnesium supplement. If you can't get Pyramin, try and get some high quality calcium and magnesium. One good thing to do if you're really wired is chew calcium magnesium every 2 to 3 hours, 2 tablets of Pyramin. That tends to put a lid on things. It can increase kind of a loose stool. If you start getting diarrhea, probably not a good idea to do too much of that. But if everything's going okay, that tends to be a good thing to keep a lid on things. There is an amazing product that's unfortunately stopped now, but I'll tell you the ingredients. The product was made by Endomet. It's called ICMN. It had a combination of different ingredients that is amazing at just helping with these sort of reactions. The main things that this these ingredients do is they will bind to copper. They will pull copper out of the bloodstream and help remove copper from the liver. This is because copper's the biggest thing that's causing the problems at the moment. So you could have a scout around, so ask some practitioners whether they've got a spare bottle of ICMN. It was a while now when Endomet stopped doing it, but for you guys who can't get it, try to find 200 milligrams of inositol, 200 milligrams of choline, 200 milligrams of methionine, and 50 milligrams of niacinamide. If you can do that and combine them together, that is a very, very powerful set of ingredients that is really going to help in these situations. It was a godsend to me. I couldn't believe the difference when I ate one of them tablets. It was like, wow, all of a sudden everything just calmed down, and I realised I wasn't going insane. So, you know, it's probably a good idea to have them ingredients on hand if anything happens. Other good things are, and I think Molly Q, I think that might have stopped by Endomet as well. However, the ingredients is 100 milligrams of molybdenum. Molybdenum binds to copper as well, and yeah, molybdenum binds to copper as well. I'm just seeing because I think there's some more ingredients in there. It helps to eliminate copper. It's slightly toxic, so it's not our preferred method, but when you're going through these reactions, you know, you kind of want anything. The product also contains Russian black radish, which is a herb high in sulfur, and sulfur obviously binds with copper, reducing its effects like I just talked about. I'm not sure whether Endomet still sell that. Again, try and ask some practitioners if they've got a spare bottle. If not, try and find the ingredients yourself. Other things is more GB3. GB3 is an enzyme that helps the flow of bile through the liver. Vitamin B6 is another copper antagonist. Could be helpful. The recommended dosage would be 1,000 milligrams daily for up to a week. Now, the last two I'll mention is zinc and vitamin C. Zinc is a copper antagonist, but it can make things feel more intense, so I wouldn't recommend that. And the same with vitamin C, is a good copper chelator, but it tends to stimulate the adrenal glands, which is not really a wise thing to do, so I wouldn't recommend vitamin C. But as I said, the ICMN ingredients, renamide is another good one for the liver, GB3, vitamin B6, Molly Q. There's a few things that you can take to enhance the detoxification of the liver, which is milk thistle, dandelion, and burdock root. For more information on these supplements, please read Dr. Wilson's article entitled Copper Elimination, because it's all on there with more information. If you just type in on Google Dr. L. Wilson Copper Elimination, you'll see it on there. It'll be the top link. So other things to do is, like I mentioned before, go on a really long walk. Really long walks seem to be excellent for just grounding you, calming you down, giving the mind something to focus on, giving the body a little bit of gentle exercise, as long as you're not winding it up, is really, really good. Something else that was a godsend to me, I couldn't believe how powerful it is reflexology. If you can go and see a reflexologist or do reflexology on yourself, I went to see a reflexologist and they did an hour's reflexology, and that made a huge difference. I couldn't believe actually how much better I felt after someone had done some reflexology on me. Amazing. It's a complex reasons why that improves things. You know, a lot of the reasons is it will help massage things like the liver, but probably one of the best things is that it grounds a person really, really well. One thing that happens when you're going through these intense copper elimination detoxes is that you feel super grounded because your energy is just flying all over the show. So that's why things like long walks and good quality reflexology is super helpful. I did some lake swimming when I was out in Thailand. When I was in Thailand, it was red hot, so all of this stuff was just coming out my system. So just getting in a lake was with some cool water just helped calm me down a little bit. It probably going to slow down the reaction a little bit, but I didn't care as long as my symptoms was feeling less intense. That was good enough for me in these periods. Sometimes going to see a chiropractor is really helpful. They can adjust some spinal twists and various other misalignments that can help with the flow of energy and the removal of the copper, etc. And you know, other things like calming herbs, maybe some chamomile tea is sometimes good. Slippery elm. You know, if you watch my videos on sleeping, all of the sleeping articles and the sleeping videos are going to help as well. You know, obviously make sure that your room is dark. One thing that's very important to understand is that when you're releasing copper from the bloodstream, when the copper is in the blood, basically your body acts as an antennae, so your EMF symptoms will increase. Sometimes people don't even feel EMF, but when they're removing copper and it's coming into the bloodstream, they'll start to feel EMF sensitivity for the first time ever. So that's something to be aware of as well. If that's happening to you, then just please read Dr. Wilson's articles on EMF, and also if you search our YouTube channel, I've got plenty of videos on EMF as well. So that's it for copper elimination. Try to realise that this is an amazing thing, but do not go head on into this, because you need to respect this or it will make things 10 times worse, and you don't want that. You just want to put a lid on things. Realise that the copper elimination process has begun. The body will finish it towards the end. So if you calm down the system, it will finish it eventually. You're not going to stop the copper elimination, you know, so don't worry about anything like that. Try to put family and friends at ease. You know, they generally want to send these people to the A&E, which is totally understandable. I nearly went on a couple of occasions. If it weren't for me living with a practitioner in Thailand who actually understood all this stuff and made me feel more calm about it, then I would have probably gone as well. I know a couple of people that have ended up in A&E, unfortunately, because they didn't understand this stuff. So this is what this video is all about. Please give yourself a pat on the back on one level that it's happening. As I say, not many people will reduce this copper because of various different reasons. So you reducing it or removing it is extremely good. Make sure you're always in touch with your practitioner. If you've got any groups that you're in, or WhatsApp groups or whatever, please get in touch with these people. These people have probably gone through a similar situation and they can give you advice and help. Please understand that the people around you are probably not going to know what's going on. The same with doctors, the same with the medical industry. So hopefully that's helped you out. If you need any help, then just feel free to send me an email, lewis@deephealingspace.com. I do know that Dr. Wilson is available on the phone or via email if you got any of these very, very intense reactions. He's often helpful as well. Alright guys, well I hope that's helped you all out. Please, please, please take this video very, very seriously. You know, people do not realise what these reactions can do to you until it happens. So please be wise. Don't worry about things too much. This generally happens to a minority of people. It doesn't get as intense as this, but I needed to do this video for the people like myself. I wish I would have watched this video 6 years ago when I was going through a similar reaction, because it would have saved me a lot of worry and fear and confusion. Alright, so thanks for watching. Hope you have a good day, and I'll chat to you all soon.